chatting with Alan Saunders of Pittsburgh Sports Now. And Alan, I want to start with the offense. I guess we're going to assume Kenny Pickett is still going to be the presumptive quarterback. He did finish the ACC, I guess, 10th in the – I only look at the quarterback ranking. I don't look at yards or touchdowns or anything like that. I just look at the rating. Is he the presumptive quarterback for next year as well, or this fall as well? And what did you make of his last season?
Well, he is absolutely the starter. I don't think there's any question about that as long as he's healthy. And I think that's really what you have to look at last year is that he played, I guess, the first 3 games or something like that of the season where he was fully healthy, and then he got hurt in that Boston College game. So I guess he played, the Austin P game, is what it is. But he played Syracuse, Louisville, North Carolina State, pretty healthy, and then got hurt against Boston College, and then he came back probably a little sooner than he should have. So it's really hard to take a lot away from his season last year. To me, I think if you want to look at his passer rating, that's probably about fair for where he belongs. This is a conservative offense. It's quarterback driven in a way that every team is, but it maybe less so than most you're going to see in college football, and that they don't. They don't throw deep a lot. They do throw the ball a lot, but it's a lot of short passes, a lot of intermediate stuff, and things like that. And so it's not this kind of big play, high-tempo offense that you see in some other places.
Well, where you guys made the beef, I guess you could say, you had the number 1 rush defense in the ACC last year, and you were 3rd in your scoring defense. And I think a lot of it is because I gave these guys a lot of credit and gave them all the votes, was Patrick Jones and Rashad Weaver. Who's filling the void?
Well, John Morgan from the player from Washington, D.C., is a really, really talented player. I think you're going to see him on some of those all ACC lists by the end of the year. He's a little bit, maybe a little bit smaller than Weaver and Jones, not as tall, not as long arms, lengthy kind of guy. Maybe more like, if you want to compare him to another Pitt pass rusher like a Juan Price from a few years ago, more like a speed rush kind of guy. And they're going to pair him with, at least for now, Deslin Alexander, who's a bit of a more stout guy, probably more of a run stuffer than a pass rusher at end right now. And they've got Haba Baldonado, who's also another pass rushing type, who I think will probably come in their 3rd down package to play rush end, and they play like a 3-3-5. And so I think those are the guys that are going to replace Weaver and Jones. They've got a ton of talent, though. I mean, they've got Dayon Hayes, who was a true freshman last year and played very sparingly, but was a 4-star kid that they're really excited about. And they've got another really big recruiting class on the offensive line or on the defensive line this year. Elliot Donald, Aaron Donald's nephew, is coming in. He's going to play tackle, but he's played a little bit of end before as well. And then you have Nakai Johnson, who's another 4-star kid from the area at end. So, Charlie Partridge, I've known he's been a good coach, but look at what he did with Weaver and Jones. Those were 2-star guys coming into Pitt. It's not like he's had this overwhelming level of talent and what he's done with it. And now that some of these guys he's got coming in are some of these higher talented guys, some more 4-star guys, I think really this could be a dominant unit for years to come for Pitt. And, I think it's going to be the strength of the entire team again, even though they're losing 2 really good players in the NFL. And they'll have Jalen Twyman get drafted this year, even though he didn't play last fall because he opted out, but was part of that group the year before as well.
So I'm looking at your schedule, and I want you to hear me out real quick. Week 2, you're at Rocky Top, and they're completely rebuilding under Josh Heupel now. Week 5, and I'm not taking anything away from them because y'all had to go down there last year, and so why you have to go to Georgia Tech 2 years in a row is beyond me. So, but I'm assuming you're going to be getting past Georgia Tech. I'm looking at week 6, and you're going to Blacksburg, and you could possibly be saying to yourselves, hey, look, we're about to be bowl eligible on week 6. Is that a realistic expectation this year?
I think it's a realistic outcome. I'm not sure if it's a realistic expectation. I mean,
Okay.
look,
Okay.
Josh Heupel, go look at what UCF did to Pitt. Was that 2017 down at UCF? I mean, he just clinically picked apart Pitt's defensive scheme with speed and spacing. And I mean, this is a better Pitt defense, but I think I'd be hesitant to overlook a team led by him, even a team that's rebuilding and a team that obviously still has a lot of talented players on it. Had a lot of talented players on it last year too, even though their record wasn't very good. And so, I mean, any game like that on the road is going to be tough. I wouldn't come into that one thinking that Pitt should win, but Pitt certainly could win. And if they do, they've had a pretty easy time of it with Georgia Tech. They've played Virginia Tech pretty easily. I mean, it's not out of the question that you could be seeing Pitt play Clemson on October 23rd, two unbeaten teams at Heinz Field. I don't know if I'd make that an expectation, but it's certainly a realistic outcome.
All right. Well, Tennessee's lost a lot for transfers and new. If this was year 2 under Heupel, I would probably have a different approach. But year 1 under Heupel, with losing, pretty much cleaning house, I think the more senior team is going to be on the road jerseys. I think that's a fair assessment. Does Whipple call the plays?
Whipple calls the plays. Yep, on the sideline, which is a bit interesting. Not the usual way about it, but and I think the way they'll do it this year, it's a bit new because they got some new staff there. But Brendan Marion, who is their new wide receivers coach, came over from Hawaii. I'm pretty sure he's going to be the guy up in the booth for the offense this year. And now he's been a coordinator in the past and has done some interesting things with a multi-back offense that he created. He called the go-go offense. I don't know if you know anything about it, but it's like a full house look. And he created some interesting run concepts out of that. So I'll be interested to see how much of that gets put into the offense this year. I'd assume at least some of it. But so Brennan will be up in the box with Mark Whipple on the sideline calling the plays from there.
Good stuff. Alan, thank you.
Absolutely. Anything else you need, feel free to reach out. I'm always around.